Hello and welcome. So this is the time of year when we often think about romantic relationships. And so often what we're looking for when we think about relationship is somebody that fulfills us, makes us feel whole, important, special. And it's a bit of a concern in our culture that we are so externally focused on finding that validation. So today's topic is that of self-acceptance. Because truly, until you learn to accept yourself, you're never going to let somebody else completely love you. In self-acceptance, what I think about are those aspects of the self, the shadow, those parts of ourselves we don't really want to look at and we don't want anybody else to see either. Those are the parts we have a hard time accepting. And we can't imagine somebody else loving them either. So it's not uncommon for us to hold something back in a relationship. It might be subconsciously that we're doing it as well. We don't let anybody see those aspects of ourselves that we don't like or that we don't think are socially acceptable. Or sometimes people go to the other extreme and they constantly put themselves down till they finally convince the other person that they're not lovable. People will sabotage a relationship. It's one of those things where everybody says, I really want someone to know me. I want someone to truly love me. And then we get that person, we go, wow, this person really knows me. Oh no, this person really knows me. I don't even want to know me. And we run away from intimacy. We shut down. So for us to really be able to fully embrace a relationship, whether it's with a partner or friends or really connecting with our children, we have to come to a place of accepting ourselves, loving ourselves wholly for everything that we are. I remember going on a retreat. It was a 4-day silent retreat, and it really gave me an opportunity to look at some of the minor aspects of my shadow self. So I had been to this retreat before, and it was a wonderful experience. You could take yoga classes in silence and basically spend a lot of time sharing space with other like-minded people. On this particular occasion, the day before the event, I badly sprained my ankle. So here I come hobbling to the retreat on crutches, unable to do any of the yoga classes. And on the last day, everybody at the retreat was going off into the yoga studio for the last class. They were all going to be there. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on the floor, legs crossed, meditating in the main hall. And as I'm looking down, meditating, I see the feet of the yoga instructor just going by where I'm sitting. And it was really interesting to notice my reaction, because this wave of resentment came up out of me. Oh, she gets to go do yoga with everybody and I don't. And what I found so interesting about that experience is that had I been able to speak, had it not been a silent retreat, as she walked by, I would have gone, have a great class. I would have covered up that resentment so quickly, I would probably have not even noticed it. And we do that. We subconsciously bury aspects of ourselves because we want to see ourselves a certain way. Now, when you're in a scenario like that where you cannot submerge that part of yourself, you can't cover it with language, you get to look at your pettiness. And quite often what we'll do then is we'll put ourselves down. Well, that wasn't very nice of me. Why couldn't I have been more generous of spirit? Why couldn't I have been more understanding? But with self-acceptance, it means looking underneath that pettiness. What's hiding under there? In other words, underneath that resentment is abandonment. And we might have abandonment issues, that go back to early childhood, some aspect of our psyche that hasn't been accepted yet, some part of ourselves we never honored for feeling like it never got its needs met on time. If you were a child who was left to cry in your crib, for example, that wave of abandonment may still surface at times in your life. You might not know what it is. And working with an intuitive counselor can help you track that down and understand it and heal it. But it's just a very helpful tool to realize in the first place, whenever you're angry or resentful or irritated by something, that's usually hiding fear or loss. So if you can dig down to what's underneath that anger, instead of just saying, oh, I shouldn't feel like that, and shaming yourself for it, you'll find a part that needs to be healed. And how is that useful? If you can acknowledge the part of you that felt abandoned, you'll probably be more patient with your child when he or she has needs, or with a friend who's having a hard time, or with a partner who needs a good ear, because you know what it's like to feel that. We're in a very rushed society, and we often shove down our emotions just to get through the day and get everything done. And we can be really hard on ourselves and not acknowledge that somewhere inside of us there are parts of us that still need to be healed. And often that's just by being heard. And when we can do that, when we can be that gentle with ourselves, when we can recognize our petty behavior, our anger, especially anger that's beyond the context of what's happening, that usually means it's touching on something deeper that's been around for a while. When we can connect with that and love that part of ourselves and understand it and bring it into the light and help it to feel integrated, we have not only so much more to give other people because we're more whole and present, we can receive more for ourselves because we're not putting up all those walls that say, I'm not good enough. You can love this part of me, but not this part. It's not lovable. Think about it. You came into the world as a beautiful baby. Nobody looks at a baby and says, well, there's only part of you that's lovable. They're just lovable, just as they are. Even when they're crying, even when they're angry, they're lovable. There is no point at which you become any less lovable than the day you were born. So give yourself a wonderful gift this Valentine's Day. Just love yourself. And let that love move through you and out to the people around you. And they will feel that light that you are. And that is the greatest possible gift that you can give another human being. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Namaste.